technological glitch. Right. One day, when Bimla Prasad was still a child of no more than 4 years, his father mildly rebuked him for eating a mango not yet duly offered to Lord Krishna. Bimla Prasad, although only a child, considered himself an offender to the Lord and vowed never to eat mangoes again. This was a vow that he would follow throughout his life. By the time Bimla Prasad was 7 years old, he had memorized the entire Bhagavad Gita and could even explain its verses. His father then began training him in proofreading and printing. In conjunction with the publishing of the Vaishnava magazine Sajjan Toshani. With his father, he visited many holy places and heard discourses from the learned Pandits. As a student, Bimla Prasad preferred to read the books written by his father instead of the school texts. By the time he was 25, he had become well versed in Sanskrit, mathematics, and astronomy. And he had established himself as the author and publisher of many magazine articles and one book, Surya Siddhanta, for which he received the epithet Siddhanta Saraswati in recognition of his erudition. When he was 26, his father guided him to take initiation from a renounced Vaishnava saint, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, who advised him to preach the absolute truth and keep aside all other works. Receiving the blessings of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Bimla Prasad, now Siddhanta Saraswati, resolved to dedicate his body, mind, and words to the service of Lord Krishna. In 1905, Siddhanta Saraswati took a vow to chant the Hare Krishna mantra 1 billion times. Residing in Mayapur in a grass hut, but near the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, he chanted the Hare Krishna mantra day and night. He cooked rice once a day in an earthen pot and nothing more, and ate nothing more. He slept on the ground, and when the rainwater leaked through the grass ceiling, he sat beneath an umbrella, chanting. In 1911, again, his aging father was lying, in 1911, while his aging father was lying ill, Siddhanta Saraswati took up a challenge against pseudo-Vaishnavas who claimed that birth in their caste was the prerequisite for preaching Krishna consciousness. The caste-conscious Brahmana community had become incensed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur's presentation of many scriptural proofs that anyone, regardless of birth, could become a Brahmana, Vaishnava. These Smarta Brahmanas, out to prove the inferiority of the Vaishnavas, arranged a discussion. On behalf of his indisposed father, young Siddhanta Saraswati wrote an essay, The Conclusive Difference Between the Brahmana and the Vaishnava, and submitted it before his father. Despite his poor health, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was elated to hear the arguments that would soundly defeat the challenge of the Smartas. Siddhanta Saraswati then travelled to Madnapur, where Pandits from all over India had gathered for a 3-day discussion. Some of the Smarta Pandits who spoke first claimed that anyone born in a Shudra family, even though initiated by a spiritual master, could never become purified and perform the Brahminical duties of worshipping the deity or initiating disciples. Finally, Siddhanta Saraswati delivered his speech. He began quoting Vedic references, glorifying the Brahmanas. And at this, the smart scholars became very much pleased. But when he began discussing the actual qualifications for becoming a Brahmana, the qualities of the Vaishnavas, the relationship between the two, and who, according to the Vedic literature, is qualified to become a spiritual master and initiate disciples, then the joy of the Vaishnava haters disappeared. Siddhanta Saraswati conclusively proved from the scriptures that if one is born as a Shudra but exhibits the qualities of a Brahmana, then he should be honored as a Brahmana, despite his birth. And if one is born in a Brahman family, acts like a Shudra, then he is not a Brahmana. After his speech, Siddhanta Saraswati was congratulated by the president of the conference, and thousands thronged around him. It was a victory for Vaishnavism. With the passing away of his father, I think we'll just stop here. So it's on 44, second last paragraph. Other reader can read this, maybe tomorrow or day after. Jai. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita ki Jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Prabhupada ki Jai. So we are now continuing with our discussion on Canto 4, chapter number 6. Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva. And we are on the verse number 39. If you can repeat after me, please. Tam Brahma Nirvana Samadhim Ashritam Vyupashritam Girisham Yoga Kaksham Sa Loka Pala Munayo Manunam Adyam Manum Pranjalaihi Pranemuhu Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Manoraniyam Samanusmaredyaha Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasaha Parastham Tam Brahma Nirvana Samadhimashritam Vyupashritam Girisham Yoga Kaksham Salokapala Munayo Manuna Adyam Manum Pranjalayah Pranemuhu Tam Brahma Nirvana Samadhimashritam Vyupashritam Girisham Yoga Kaksham Salokapala Munayo Manuna Adyam Manuhu Pranjalayah Pranemuhu Tam Brahma Nirvana Samadhimashritam Vyupashritam Girisham Yoga Kaksham Salokapala Munayo Manuna Adyam Manuhu Adyam Manum Pranjalayah Pranemuhu. Jai. Word to word synonyms, translations and purports by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. If you can repeat after me, please. Tam, him, that is Lord Shiva. Brahma Nirvana, in Brahmananda. Samadhim, in trance. Ashritam, absorbed. Vyupashritam, leaning on. Girisham, Lord Shiva. Yoga Kaksham, having his left knee firmly fixed with a knotted cloth. Firmly fixed with a knotted cloth. Salokapalaha, along with the demigods, headed by Indra. Munayaha, the sages. Manunam, of all thinkers. Adayam, the chief. Manum, thinker. Pranjalayaha, with folded palms. Pranemuhu, offered respectful obeisances. So him, that is Lord Shiva, in Brahmananda, in trance, absorbed, leaning on Lord Shiva, having his left knee firmly fixed with a knotted cloth, along with the demigods headed by Indra, the sages of all thinkers, the chief thinker with folded palms offered respectful obeisances. There are many, many words here. Few words which are very, very important in this verse. First is Brahma Nirvana, which means in Brahmananda. Then Samadhim, the Samadhi that is in trance. Then Yoga Kaksham, so having his left knee firmly fixed with a knotted cloth. Then Manuyaha, Munayaha, Manunam. Munayaha means sages, Manunam means of all thinkers. And Adiyam, Manunam, Adiyam means the chief of all thinkers. Manum, thinker. Okay, so translation. All the sages and demigods, headed by Indra, offered their respectful obeisances unto Lord Shiva with folded hands. Lord Shiva was dressed in saffron garments and absorbed in trance, thus appearing to be the foremost of all sages. Purport. In this verse, the word Brahmananda is significant. This Brahmananda or Brahma Nirvana is explained by Prahlad Maharaj. When one is completely absorbed in the Adhokshaja, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the sense perception of materialistic persons, one is situated in Brahmananda. It is impossible to conceive of the existence, name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is transcendently situated beyond the conception of materialistic persons. Because materialists cannot imagine or conceive of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they may think that God is dead. But factually, he is always existing in his Satchid Ananda Vigraha, his eternal form. Constant meditation concentrated on the form of the Lord is called Samadhi, ecstasy or trance. Samadhi means particularly concentrated attention So, one who has achieved the qualification of always meditating on the personality of Godhead is to be understood to be always in trance and enjoying Brahma Nirvana or Brahmananda. Lord Shiva exhibited those symptoms, and therefore it is stated that he was absorbed in Brahmananda. Another significant word is Yoga Kaksham. Yoga Kaksha is the sitting posture in which the left thigh is fixed under one's tightly knotted chevron colored garment. Also, the word Manunam Adyam is significant here because they mean a philosopher or one who is thoughtful and can think very, very clearly, very nicely. Such a man is called Manu. Lord Shiva is described in this verse as the chief of all thinkers. Adyam, Manu. Manunam Adyam, chief, Manu, thinker. Lord Shiva, of course, does not engage in useless mental speculation. But as stated in the previous verse, he is always thoughtful regarding how to deliver the demons from their fallen condition of life. It is said that during the advent of Lord Chaitanya, Sadashiv appeared as Advaita Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu's chief concern was to elevate the fallen conditioned souls to the platform of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Since people were engaged in useless occupations which would continue their material existence, Lord Shiva, in the form of Lord Advaita, appealed to the Supreme Lord to appear as Lord Chaitanya to deliver these illusioned souls. Actually, Lord Chaitanya appeared on the request of Lord Advaita. Similarly, Lord Shiva has a sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya. He is always thinking about the deliverance of the fallen souls as exhibited by Lord Advaita Prabhu. Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we have already chanted the prayers. Let's come to the discussion. Since last we discussed last Friday, he was seated on a straw mattress and speaking to all present, including the great sage Narad, to whom he specifically spoke about the absolute truth. His left leg was placed on his right thigh, and his left hand was placed on his left thigh. In his right hand, he had Rudraksh beads. This sitting posture is called Virasana. He sat in the Virasana posture and his finger was in the mode of argument. Today, all the sages and demigods headed by Indra offered their respectful obeisances unto Lord Shiva with folded hands. Lord Shiva was dressed in saffron garments and absorbed in trance, thus appearing to be the foremost of all sages. So here, Lord Brahma has brought now all the demigods to meet Lord Shiva and to beg for forgiveness. He said, yes, Lord Shiva's wife has killed herself because of the insult of her own father Daksha to Lord Shiva. And all the demigods took side of Daksha. Lord Shiva, that's why he created the whole destruction of the sacrificial ceremony to a demon which he created from his hair. Lord Brahma, when all the demigods came to him crying for help, he said, yes, this has happened. Lord Shiva is very upset. But he is a true Vaishnava. He is very kind. He is Ashutosh. He can be very easily pleased. If we all go and bow down, give him dandavats, and beg for forgiveness, he will certainly forgive us. Lord Brahma thought and said to them. That's why they all came to meet Lord Shiva, and there are descriptions of Lord Shiva's abode, personal abode. Mount Kailas is given, the beautiful. It is mentioned that Mount Kailas is nearly as good as Golok Vrindavan. That is the position of Lord Shiva. Last Wednesday we discussed the three forms of Lord Shiva, the Sadashiva form which exists in the spiritual world in Goloka, is the expansion of Krishna, is a Vishnu Tattva. Then we understood last week how Shankar or Shambhu is a Shiva Tattva, expansion from Sadashiv, who has his own planet which is called Mount Kailas. That's where they all went, demigods went. And then we understand that the current Shiva which we know is Shiva Tattva, born from Lord Brahma's eyebrows. These are little hidden information, but very important one. That's why we find that in every dham of Krishna, Lord Shiva's abode exists also, temple exists, and it's this temple of Lord Shiva protects. The dham. So here, the importance of Lord Shiva's mercy is mentioned in the last part, where Lord Shiva in his original form of Sadashiv, who lives in Goloka, who even became and took part when Krishna and his friends, the Gopas, were dancing. So Sadashiva, seeing this dance of Lord Krishna with his Gopa friends, was in complete ecstasy. And he also wanted to dance, so he also became a Gopa. And he also danced. He can do that, the Sadashiva form. You see? Now, in the Chaitanya Leela, the Panchatattvas, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Shivas, Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. So Sri Advaita Acharya and Sri Nityananda, they both are considered to be the Angas of Lord Chaitanya. They're very significant, Angas. There are some verses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela which are dedicated in informing the reader about the Angas. Just like Lord Vishnu's 4 hands also has a club and a disc. Chaitanya did not carry any weapons. Lord Chaitanya's incarnation was weaponless. But still, he had his weapons in the form of his devotees. And these devotees, by crying loudly, Hare Krishna, all the demons, all the demoniac tendencies of the demons would be diminished. That is the information and instance given in Chaitanya Charitamrita about the work of the Angas. That's what they do. This is their weapons. And the devotees and followers of Drishya Advaita Prabhu, all of us, we also chant Hare Krishna loudly. We also kill the demons within our hearts and the hearts of all the listeners. So it is mentioned, Sri Advaita Acharya actually is the incarnation of two important personalities, not one. First is that of Mahavishnu, who is the plenary portion of Krishna, Krishna himself, the first Purusha. And second, he is also the form of Sadashiv, Lord Shiva. These two. And because Lord Shiva's mood is constantly thinking about the upliftment of living beings who are very fallen and demoniac, when he appeared as Sadashiv, naturally his heart melted. Actually, Sri Advaita Acharya were born much before Lord Chaitanya appeared. He appeared before, about 50 years before. Along with Sachi Mata, Jagannath Das Babaji, Jagannath Pandit, Ishwar Puri. So, they were all sent before Lord Krishna could appear. And it is mentioned that in Advaita Acharya's home, whoever were the Vaishnavas would come together and chant even before Lord Chaitanya appeared. Of course, after Lord Chaitanya appearance also that's continued. The Shiva's Angan in Shiva's Thakur's place. But at Advaita Acharya's place, all this was going on. And when he saw that majority of the people, just like we were reading from Prabhupada Lilamrita, the Brahmanas were just for the namesake, Smartha Brahmanas. Because they were thinking from birth only one is a Brahmana, birth only one is a Shudra. Now technically speaking, this happened because of the invading of the Mughals in India, the Muslims. To protect the Sanatana Dharma, the Smartha Brahmana said, "You are by birth, you are Hindu. Otherwise you are not," to protect the religion. Because they were given additional taxes if you do not convert to Muslim. And all the Hindu farmers would pay additional taxes to protect the Dharma. It was also mentioned that you cannot drink water at the time there for Muslim place, because they would be very unhygienic eating cows. You become Muslim then. So, all this degradation that happened, Lord Advaita Acharya saw and said, people are not going to think clearly about love of God. They are interested only and only in material welfare, which we see today. Bhagavad Saptahs are held just to collect money. Srila Prabhupada started this movement to honestly give knowledge of Krishna. Nothing else. Nothing was any other motive. So Advaita Acharya prayed to Lord Krishna, he was Sadashiv form, please come. This world needs you. They are very fallen, and I cannot certainly deliver them. Only you can deliver them. So on the request of Lord Advaita Acharya, Lord Chaitanya appeared. Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya as a devotee to show how to love Krishna. See, even God has to come in Kali Yuga to prove to us how to love Him, how fallen we are. That's why He came in the mood of Radharani, molten gold form, and love of Radha, although He is Krishna. That's why when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he reached Jagannath Puri, first time when he saw, Lord Chaitanya saw Lord Jagannath, it is mentioned it was a very electrifying experience. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya witnessed this. Now if you go to Jagannath Puri, There's a pillar at the entrance. Where it's a big temple. Have you been there? Anyone been there? Yeah. It's a very big temple. I went in, but I did not see the Lord. They don't allow non-Indians to come, and we had a non-Indian devotee from our program come with us. So I said, I'll wait for her. But I saw the pillar. I said, take me to the pillar. There's a pillar at the entrance, and far away is Lord Jagannath deity. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was standing with the fingers like this and a hand on the pillar, and he saw Lord Jagannath. Now, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the mood of Radha, as a devotee of Lord Krishna. Now, Jagannath is Krishna in the mood of Krishna loving Radha. So the atmosphere was very electrifying at the time, and seeing that, first time, Lord Chaitanya, his hand got imprinted on the stone melted. Even today it is there. The fingerprints of Lord Chaitanya is there. And then he collapsed and he fainted. So, those who can go should go and look at the fingers there. I was standing there only. I did not move from there. I said, I'm going to be there. I chanted my rounds. Few people knew about this, so they came and they touched on the feet and went to Lord Jagannath. But Jagannath is very merciful. In the place of Puri, even if you cannot go inside the temple, please visit Puri. Please visit Puri. To stay in Jagannath Puri one night is very auspicious. Even on the other Gambhira, it's another place there, but in the place where Lord Chaitanya's aunt stays, when they bring the chariot, they stay in another temple and bring back. Gundicha temple. In Gundicha temple, we can stand. I did not go inside Gundicha temple because we had a devotee, as I said. But I just chanted outside. And you see there and you will cry. It's a place to cry. Because the separation is intense of Krishna with Radha. And we are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Chaitanya Radha of Krishna. Place of lot of purification. So, on the request of Advaita Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Lord Krishna appeared. This is how Lord Shiva is very, very merciful to all living beings, and especially merciful to those who are very demoniac. That doesn't mean we should worship Lord Shiva. We respect and worship Lord Shiva, but we worship Krishna. Because Krishna is what he worshipped, Lord Shiva worshipped. And as Srila Prabhupada has taught us. So here, it is mentioned that those people who do not understand Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means the Lord who cannot be seen, unseen by the eyes. Adhokshaja. Those who have not practiced seeing Adhokshaja, they will never be able to understand God. Because everything in the material world we want to see and touch and speak to. I remember in a talkback show in New Zealand here, there was a discussion going on about God. I said I was interested. I was listening to news and I said discussion of God. So let's listen. So one caller said, I don't believe in God because if the God exists, he said, then let him turn a page on a book that I keep in front of me. So he doesn't turn the page, I don't believe in God. And I thought, what rascal, What nonsense is this? You want God to come, to prove to him that he exists, to come and turn the page for you. And what have you done? Nothing. But you want God to come. See, this is how we are demoniac. And I thought, let this man ask his children, come and turn the page. Even they would say no. His relationship would be so bad with their children also. But you want God to come. Only by Srila Prabhupada's mercy that I could think like this. Otherwise, people like me also would start to think, if God exists, He should come here in front of me and dance. Complete nonsense. Now, this is a secret of how Krishna can be seen and heard. And Krishna mentions how it is done. He says this in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the universal form, verse 54. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya aho mevam vidho arjuna gnatum drushtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. See, here he says, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. See, here he gives the answer to that person's query, which is my query too. How we can have Krishna come in front of us and we can see him. He says, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service, ananyaya. The word is ananyaya, bhaktya tva ananyaya. Ananyaya means without being mixed with fruitive activities or speculative knowledge. So undivided devotional service, can I be understood as I am, standing before you? Then he will come and stand before us. And thus you can see me directly. I can be seen directly. And he says, only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. That's why the word adokshaja is mentioned. Very mysterious. You can't see, but you have to see. He exists. How do we understand this? That which we cannot see and which we cannot perceive is God. We have to see that. With our blunt material senses, we can't. There is a challenge for devotees, for all living beings in this material world. Excuse me. So this is the answer given, Ananyaya. This is a very famous verse, comes many times in Bhagavad Gita. Uninterrupted and unmixed devotional service. We may, and no living being can hide behind this truth to say that, oh, I'm not a pure devotee. He's a pure devotee. She's a pure devotee. We all, if this is true, then Srila Prabhupada's teachings, we are not giving justice to the Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Srila Prabhupada's teachings have got the potency to uplift any living being from demoniac stage to saintly stage. So we should take it as a challenge if we are followers. We must strive very hard to experience this adokshaja. Second point what is mentioned here, where Lord Shiva is mentioned as Brahma Nirvana. So he is in complete Brahmananda. Brahma means Parabrahman. And Ananda means one is situated in that state, in that position of Brahman. He is always happy. Actually speaking, even in the starting stages of devotional service, we feel happiness. Is it not so? That's how it continues. I remember many moons ago, I was in India and I met my friend after many moons. Many moons ago, I was in India and I met my friend after many moons, many years. I had not met him. By this time, I had got married, he had got married. We were, as a small children, like this, we were together, So, we met each other's wives also, and the wife said, you Hare Krishna guys, she said, when you don't seem to care about all other people, You are so attached to your Krishna consciousness that you lose your other relationships. She said this in few words. And that was true actually. All of us feel that. She said, why like this, You guys are, she accused me to be, you are like this. Completely absorbed in your world, not interested in your friends and all those things. And I said, what do I explain to her? I said, yes, the attraction, I told her, the attraction for Krishna is very intense. You tend to do this. This is so true. We have changed. We don't realize it, others realize it. So this point of experiencing that Brahmananda or Brahma Nirvana, the starting of it is experienced at the very beginning. This Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the very second verse, he says, very famous verse, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Pratyakshavagalam Garmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. So he says, this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. 5. It is everlasting. 6. And it is joyfully performed. 7. These 7 things Krishna mentions in this verse is what happens in his devotion. And the 7th point is that it is joyfully performed. Anyone who comes in touch with Krishna consciousness becomes very joyful. Even people who are not Krishna conscious, they come and say when they're preaching, you guys are so happy. When you go on Harinams, they say, you guys are so happy, always dancing. So even the Prime Minister of New Zealand, the ex-Prime Minister, he said, you guys live in cuckoo's land. You don't know the realities of the problems of the country. You guys are so happy and dancing all the time. He doesn't understand. We know reality. We don't run away from reality. We face reality happily, dancing and chanting and honoring prasadam. Even our deep philosophy that we are discussing of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita is joyfully performed. Very interesting. Otherwise, if you hear somebody else, the Mayavadi speaking Bhagavad Gita, you won't understand a word what they're speaking. It's like, I remember Guru Maharaj would say, it's like chewing, mamra. What do you call mamra in English? Rice flakes, thin rice flakes. It will not fill your stomach. You keep chewing, your mouth will become tired, but the stomach is still empty. That is Mayavad philosophy. They won't give out the real truth behind it, you see. But this is the thing. The moment you come to Krishna consciousness, this is the king of education, most secret of all secrets, purest knowledge. It gives direct perception of the self by realization. It's a perfection of knowledge. It is everlasting. It is joyfully performed. So this Brahmananda we experience nearly immediately. So when we are in constant remembrance of Krishna, as there is a position of Lord Shiva, what would be the joy? That is the point. That is the point. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, at that stage of liberation, we are very, very pleased. In the 18th chapter, last time we discussed this verse, last Friday. So, every devotee who is joyful, he doesn't become joyful just, yes, he becomes joyful by taking Krishna's name for sure. He'll become even more joyful by understanding Krishna, studying about him in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with the right devotees, senior devotees, every devotee actually. And they all become Manunam. Manunam means great philosophical thinkers. And Lord Shiva is Manunam Adhyam. He's the chief amongst all thinkers because the chief Vaishnava. You see? Because the thinking is done only on in the mood of how to please Krishna. What will please Krishna? And to understand what pleases Krishna, we understand through the parampara, our Guru, through Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, to all the parampara system, to Srila Prabhupada and all the Gurus, pure devotees, how to please Krishna by pleasing a pure devotee. So these are the points we discussed today, in today's discussion. We spoke about Advaita Prabhu, whose incarnation of Sadashiva, who is Vishnu Tattva in Vaikuntha planets in Golok Vrindavan, and also Lord Karanadaksai Vishnu or Mahavishnu. On his request, Lord Chaitanya appeared. We discussed about how Krishna can be seen, can be experienced in chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita, verse 54. And we saw the 7 things that happens when a person comes in touch with Krishna in his philosophy, through his philosophy. And the 7th thing is becomes happy and joyful, which is the starting phase of Brahmananda, or Brahma Nirvana. We understood that finally all devotees are actually like philosophers. They're like philosophers. They are philosophers. And Lord Shiva, being the topmost devotee, he is the topmost philosopher. He is Manunam Adiyam. So I'll read the translation today again. All the sages and demigods headed by Indra offered their respectful obeisances unto Lord Shiva with folded hands. Lord Shiva was dressed in saffron garments and absorbed in trance, thus appearing to be the foremost of all sages. Hare Krishna. This is what I understood from this verse. All of you are very qualified devotees. Please, if you like to share of your realization, it's very nice. I have certainly not covered all different aspects of this, please. Hare Krishna. Have to say something?
Just want to ask, what is Smarta Brahmanas?
Smarta Brahmanas are Brahmanas by birth, you see. They do follow some process. Don't get me wrong, they are not completely bad and all that. They follow. And people become attached to rituals. So that is the drawback, rather than loving of devotion to Krishna. By birth they accept things. Inheritance.
What is spiritualist?
Spiritualist.
Are we spiritualist or are we religion? I think we are religion, not spiritual. Spiritual is wide.
No. I remember many years ago, it's a good question actually. Many years ago, during my mantra meditation class, I used to go out in centers. I had my center out also. Now we all combine together. By the time I used to do separately, the small programs. So I remember one person came in my program on mantra meditation. They're all people who don't want to know about Krishna, indirect preaching. So there she said, I'm a spiritualist. Now, I had read Prabhupada writing about spiritualist. So the class was full and asked her, so what do you mean by being spiritualist? She couldn't answer. It's just a word. To protect themselves, to say, oh, I'm not religionist, I'm spiritualist. It's just a protection. So I asked, what is it? She couldn't answer the question. You see? Now the master can answer the question. Srila Prabhupada answered the question by saying, you are not this body, you are spirit soul. When you act according to spirit soul, you are spiritualist. You are spiritual.
Spiritual master.
Yeah. So when we act according to the needs of the spirit soul, so our body, when we use the body according to the need of the spirit soul inside, we are called spiritual. We are spiritual. And religion means the purpose for which the soul comes into being. Dharma, swanusthita pumsam, vishvaksena kathasuyah, notapadiyata yadiratim, shrama evahi kevalam. This verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter number 2 is very important. says everything is just shrama eva hi kevalam, just useless labor. If your work, your actions does not bring you to the platform of having an attraction to Krishna. So dharma is defined not religion, the purpose for which occupational duty is defined, occupational duty. Prabhupada defines dharma sonusya pumsam, occupational duty, not religion. So, for example, everything has a dharma. So, what is the dharma? Even the sugar that we eat, sugar, has a dharma. Means if you remove the purpose for which it comes into existence. Sugar should be sweet. If it is not sweet, if it is salty, then you don't call it sugar, you call it salt. Now, what is the dharma of salt? To be salty. It can't be sweet. If it is sweet, you can call it sugar, not salt. Similarly, what is the dharma of chili? The dharma of chili is to be very spicy. If the chili tastes sweet, you call it rasagulla, or whatever you call it, Similarly, what is the dharma of fire? Everything is a dharma, religion. Dharma of fire is to give light and heat. Okay. So this is dharma. Dharma is not religion, this is dharma. So what is the dharma of, for example, the microphone? To expand. If it does not, it's useless, throw it away.
What is dharma in English?
Occupational duty. The purpose for which it comes into existence. But modern day people have minimized this definition into just religion. So, coming to your question, being spiritual is to understand you're not the body or spirit soul, and to act according to the spirit soul's needs. Use the body. It's called spiritual. And what is the need of the spiritual soul? Is to be Jivara Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. Being subservient to Krishna. So that is the purpose for which it comes into existence. Is it okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Ananda Koti Vaishnava ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.